This is the Wuben G5 Everyday Carry Flashlight, $24.99. Is this the best EDC flashlight you can get for under 25 bucks? Let's discuss. And this is everything the Wuben G5 comes with. I'll give you a look at the box, typical lumens and runtime information on the back. Also comes with an owner's manual, a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, a really small key ring right there, and of course a lanyard. But let's put all this off to the side here, and I'll give you guys a nice close-up of the Wuben G5. And while you guys are checking this out, let's talk about some of the features. All right, the Wuben G5 has a maximum output of 400 lumens, a max throwing distance of 82 meters, a max intensity of 1,681 candela, and a max runtime of 65 hours on low. It features a white light mode and an RGB mode that's controlled with a single side switch and a rotating mechanical dial. Built in, there's a 450 milliamp hour lithium battery that can be charged via the USB-C charging port on the outside of the body. It has a head that can rotate 180 degrees, an adjustable pocket clip, and a magnetic tail for mounting. It also has a dust and waterproof rating of IP68. The 6 means it's completely dustproof, and the 8 means it's submersible in up to 6 feet of water and has an impact resistance of 1 meter. All right, let's talk dimensions. It comes in at 1.46 inches by 2.44 inches and has a thickness of 0.51 inches. All right, let's weigh this bad boy. Plop it on the scale. 1.8 ounces. And in grams, that's 52 grams. And honestly, the G5 here is all about form factor. I mean, check this thing out. It sort of reminds me of a Zippo lighter. It has a really similar size and shape to a Zippo lighter. And just for comparison, here's a Zippo lighter, so check it out. And it's a little bit bigger than a Zippo, but you guys can see what I'm talking about. Very, very similar. On top of that, it has this really interesting pocket clip right here. So the pocket clip is tucked in to the side of the body, and all you have to do is just pull it out like that and flip it around to the back. But not only that, it also can flip around to the front. So let me do that again and just flip it around to the front. Check that out. And what makes this pocket clip work so well is this 180 degree rotating head. So you can see it rotates 180 degrees, flip it around to the back or put it right back to the front. So the combination of this 180 degree rotating head and rotating pocket clip, that makes the G5 a pretty functional everyday carry light. In this orientation with the head facing forward and the pocket clip in the back, I was using this in my shirt pocket, which worked fairly well. But if you want to just rotate the head straight like this, you can actually put this on your baseball cap too. I found the G5 worked very well as a headlamp, so I think this is really cool. And honestly, this versatility is one of the G5's standout features, this pocket clip and this rotating head. Couple that with a fairly easy to use side switch right here and a mechanical rotating dial that controls the stepped dimming feature. That's right, the G5 isn't a stepless flashlight. There are steps. When I was testing this out, I counted right around 8 steps from the lowest level all the way to 400 lumens. And I'll demonstrate that really quick. If I turn the flashlight on right here, so that's 1 level, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it flashes to tell you that I reached the highest level. So yeah, 8 steps. And of course, I'll go over the UI a little bit later on in this video, but let me give you a close-up of that body. That aluminum body right here. It looks really, really nice. Really nice finish on there. It's available in 2 different colors. This is the green version right here, and I do have the black version as well. So as of right now, these are the only 2 colors available. And the black one looks really nice too. The same finish, as you can see. So both of these flashlights in the hand feel really nice and high quality. And going back to the side switch and rotating dial, I do like the positioning of this side switch here, but I sort of wish Wuben put the rotating dial in a different position because, say for example, I have it in this orientation right here, the underhand orientation. My thumb rests perfectly on that side switch, but if I want to adjust the dimming feature here, I have to completely change my hand position around just to reach that dial. It's sort of awkward. So in that case, since I'm right-handed, I might want to hold it like this, where the rotating dial is perfectly under my thumb. But then the side switch is in a really goofy position. And the same thing if you're a lefty. So you see what I'm saying? I think the rotating dial is just in a weird spot. But the side switch, I think, is really smart positioning. I already mentioned the built-in 450 milliamp hour lithium battery. That's always going to be a negative for me. But honestly, I'm not really sure a workaround here based on the size and shape of this flashlight. Maybe they could have worked some AA batteries in there. I'm not exactly sure. But as it is, a built-in battery, it's going to be a negative at the end of this video. And that battery is charged with the USB-C charging port right there under this sliding cap. So I really like this system that Wuben has going on with the G5. So if you push the sliding door all the way down, that's going to cover the USB-C charging port, but it's also going to lock out the flashlight, which is fantastic. I love a quick and easy lockout for my everyday carry flashlights. Click that sliding door up one level right to the middle, and that unlocks the flashlight. So there we go. Very, very cool. And then, of course, all the way up exposes the USB-C port. I thought this was a really smart and intuitive system by Wuben. I like it. And if you ever forget, which I don't know how you would, but they have clear markings right there on the body what each position does. And the last thing I wanted to talk about on the body was on the tail, there is a magnetic mounting feature. So if I bring in a knife and slap it to the knife, you can see it does hold its own body weight horizontal and vertical, but honestly, this isn't a great magnetic mounting tail. Even though you can see it clearly holds its body weight, but just a slight jostle of that knife, it falls off. So the magnets here are not strong at all, but you can see it clearly works, but just don't put it anywhere that can vibrate and shake itself off. And I lied, sorry about that. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about on this body here, and that's the battery life indicator. Even though it does have a battery life indicator, it's not the greatest. So what you want to do is press and hold that side switch, and it'll either glow completely blue, which means it's 100%, or you can see those blue flashes. That indicates my battery life. Not the best. I'm still in the blue though. There's also a red indicator, which means I'm really low on battery life. Also, if I plug this in over to the side over here, plug it in with the USB-C cable, you can see when it's charging, it glows red, and when it's fully charged, it'll glow blue. All right, now let's talk about the lumens in runtime. Since it has a rotating dial to adjust the stepped brightness levels, the graph here is only going to show the maximum level, which is 400, and the lowest level, which is 2 lumens. So at 2 lumens, your runtime is 65 hours, but at 400 lumens, it says 50 minutes. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not getting 50 minutes at 400 lumens in this flashlight. I ran a Lumen Test, which you'll see shortly, and you'll see that for yourself. The solid RGB lights are 10 lumens with a 9-hour runtime. The red and blue, red and green, and red and yellow flash are all 10 lumens with a 25-hour runtime. And then beacon, just so you know, beacon is not a white light in this flashlight. They are RGB beacons. Beacon is 10 lumens, and you get a 45-hour runtime. And the UI here is very simple. To turn on the flashlight, just single short press to turn it on and single short press to turn it off. And when it's on, as you already know, just rotate that mechanical dial to adjust your brightness levels. Also, when the flashlight is on, if you double short press, that'll take you instantly to the 400 lumen high, and then double short press to take you back to the last brightness level you were on. So yes, it does have a mode memory. And when I say mode memory, it just remembers the last brightness level you were on. So if I put it right here, single click to turn it off, turn it right back on, it goes right back to that same brightness level. That's nice. And to reach your RGB modes, when the flashlight is on, just press and hold, and that takes you to your colored modes here. And to change your colors, just rotate the dial. Very, very simple. And that mode memory does include RGB modes. So you can see I have it in yellow. If I turn it off, turn it right back on, it goes right back to yellow. And of course, to get back to your white light mode, just press and hold to get back to white. So if I hold it in, you can see it just switches back and forth. And before I move on, I should mention that in white light mode, if you double press for instant high, that locks out this mechanical dial. You can see I can't adjust that brightness level until I double click again. Takes me back to the stepped dimming feature. So let's go back to RGB. So when you're in RGB, if you double short press, that activates beacon. While in beacon, you cannot change the color of that LED by rotating this dial. As you can see, what you have to do is double press again, get back to the solid RGB, change to whatever color you want, double press again, and there you go. And if you double short press from off, that activates the flashing mode. So it starts with red and blue, double press again for red and green, double short press again for red and yellow. And once again, the mechanical rotating dial has no effect in these flashing modes. So here's my lumen test. I started on the lowest level, which Wuben claims to be 2 lumens. I got 3 lumens, so it's right there. And then I tested the highest level to see if we're getting 400 lumens, and I didn't get 400 lumens. I was getting right around 346. But as you can see from that point, it starts to step down immediately. So when I ran the runtime test, it started at about 340, started stepping down. After about a minute, it landed right around 184 to 180 lumens. And then it just held there steady for the duration of my 2-minute test. All right, let's do the beam demonstration. Of course, it has to be raining. Why wouldn't it be? Always something. All right, so let's start on the lowest level right here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this 2 lumen level, but if I slowly start to ramp up here, you can see that jump from the lowest level to the next step is pretty significant. That's the lowest right here. And then one little step up is like, wow, okay. So I wish I knew. I can probably just put that on my lumen tester and see what it is. I might just do that and plop it on the screen. But you can see this is a nice evenly spread beam. Hardly any hot spot right there, which is exactly what I look for in my everyday carry light. I'm really digging this beam profile here. But if I slowly start to ramp up here, you can see those steps. I'm just going to go all the way up. We're not going to get much time on that 400 lumens. There we go. There's the flash. There's the 400 lumens. And look at that. So this is plenty of light, really, for most situations. But the problem with this is it's such a small little light, little form factor, small battery. You're not going to get much time with this 400 lumens, as you saw in my lumen test. It instantly starts to step down, and after about a minute, kind of just settles right there at 184 to 180 lumens. So it's already doing that now. I can see it. But if I just hold that flashlight still, you can see the spread there. The spread isn't bad. It's not a terribly floody light, but the spread isn't bad. It's not going to be a thrower, obviously. 82 meters of throw, and it's not a floodlight either. So it's just a really nice everyday carry light for just normal everyday situations. And with this form factor being so compact, that's why I'm really digging this flashlight for everyday carry. Just because, look, I mean, this has been on the highest level now for at least a minute. And this has to be right around the 180 lumens. And it's still plenty of light. I mean, you can see I'm definitely still kissing that tree right there. So I'll plop up the distance between me and that tree. Am I hitting the barn? Yeah, I'm hitting the barn too. So it's still hitting those. That's impressive. So there we go. Now if I press and hold, let me flip-flop my hand position here. Press and hold for those RGB lights. And this is a 10 lumen RGB. Let me go against my house here. Yeah. I mean, with that red light, the red and the green are going to be the most popular choices here. And you can see with that green light, not bad. And then just for the heck of it, let's do the flashing little, there we go, the flashing emergency lights. Red and, red and, what's that, red and blue? Yeah, red and blue. Red and green, wow. And then the red and yellow. So yeah, there you go. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to do another beam test on the side of my house like I normally do just because it's raining, but I'm sure you guys get the idea here. All right, so let's go over my final thoughts on the Wuben G5. Let's start with the pros. The first pro is the form factor and how compact it is. I'm loving the size and shape of this light. It's extremely pocket friendly with this flat design. The next pro is this pocket clip. I've never really seen a pocket clip that rotates like this all the way around to either side of the flashlight. So even though it needs a little bit of work, I think Wuben is onto something here. The next pro that's also one of my negatives is this magnetic tail. I like the fact that it has a magnetic tail to mount this anywhere you want and then couple that with this 180-degree rotating head. It's very versatile. The IP68 dust and waterproof rating is obviously a pro. Another pro that I didn't mention in the video is the ability to pass through this light when you're charging it, which is a good thing because that 450 milliamp hour battery is fairly small. So if you run out of juice, just plug it in and you can still use it as a flashlight. It also has a really good beam profile. As I just showed you guys, very nice and evenly spread beam profile. Perfect for me for everyday carry. The next pro is this easy lockout with this sliding door right here. To lock it out, just push it down. Locks out the flashlight. I love it. And the last pro here is the price tag. Under 25 bucks for the G5. I mean, you can't beat it. Now let's talk about some of the negatives. A slight negative here, a slight con, is just how stiff this head is sometimes to rotate. I just wish the head was a little bit looser to make it easier to rotate. The next negative I mentioned in the video is the positioning of this rotating dial. Based on the way I hold the flashlight, the positioning of that dial is sort of awkward. I wish it had a different location. In fact, a perfect location would be right above that side switch there. It has a slight angle right there, so once you push the button, I can easily just go right to the rotating dial and adjust the brightness level. The next negative are the ramps for the brightness level. I wish it was a stepless system. Also, there's no SOS or strobe in the G5. There is a beacon, but it's not a white light beacon. It's an RGB beacon. So I'm going to count that as a negative. The next negative is the sort of weak battery life indicator, the LED up here in the head. Even though I'm glad there's a battery life indicator, I just wish that was a little bit more refined. And speaking of the battery life indicator, the built-in battery is always going to be a negative for me, even though I'm not really sure of an alternative other than a AAA battery in here. And the last negative, even though I counted the magnetic mounting tail as a pro because it's there, the magnet is fairly weak. It's technically strong enough to hold its own body weight, but if that surface moves at all, it could possibly fall off. Even with all those negatives, I don't think they're deal breakers. There's a lot of pros to this flashlight as well. Enough so where I think this is one of the best flashlights you can get right now for under 25 bucks. It's a fantastic flashlight for that price. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. What do you think of the Wuben G5? If you guys want to check it out for yourself, I will put links down below in my description box. But if you did enjoy this video, please give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe. And go!